Hi and welcome back. Have you ever thought about how you can make your slides as effective as possible? There are lots of different ways that you can do this, and I'll focus on three today. I'll talk about how important visual images are, and that includes photos and illustrations and charts and graphs. I'll briefly discuss colour, and then I'll talk about fonts that you might use for your words and messages that you write on your slides. There are mainly two types of information on slides. One is textual, that means words and letters, and one is visual, that means images such as photos or graphs or charts. You might think that having a lot of words on your slides is a good thing. However, research has shown that visual images are a lot better for people to remember what you say. People can learn more efficiently looking at pictures rather than words. So overall, depending on your content, it's a good idea to try to have more visual messages than textual ones. Let's look at an example. Here is a text about a flower called a hydrangea. My favourite flower is the hydrangea. It blossoms in early summer and it comes in different colours, ranging from pink, blue to purple. It's easy to grow and gorgeous. The text about a hydrangea is okay, but a photo tells you much more immediately what it is, as you can see from this photo. My favourite flower is the hydrangea. It blossoms in early summer and it comes in different colours, ranging from pink, blue to purple. As you can see, I've got a blue one in this picture. It's easy to grow and it's gorgeous. So the advantage of a picture or a photo is that it's simple and clear. The audience can relate directly to it, and as they don't have to process any text, they can focus on you and what you're saying. Other images that are very useful, especially for showing data, are different kinds of charts and graphs. Let's have a look at three of these. Pie charts, as you can see, they look like a pie, and you can see what kind of percentage of the pie is shown, so they're very good for percentages. Bar charts, you can see there are little bars, and they're good for comparing and ranking different factors. And finally, line graphs, and you can see they're called line graphs because they have a line going across them. They're good for showing changes over time. Okay, let's contrast a textual message with a chart. So here is our textual message. Sales in the last quarter went up by 30%. And we can emphasise different information in different ways. First of all, we can put the letters in red colour to stand out. Perhaps the important word, sales, we can put in capital letters and underline it. And then maybe the important figure is 30%, and we can put that in italics and underline that too. So lots of different ways to try and get the message over. However, such textual information is not always as effective as visual information. Here you can see a bar chart with the same information, that the second quarter has outperformed the first quarter by 30%, and it's very, very clear that the second quarter has done much better than the first quarter, and the audience can immediately see that visual impact. And here is another way to show this data visually, just to have a simple number and then in this case, red arrow going upwards immediately tells the audience what has happened. Okay, let's move on to another very important part of design, which is about colour. You might think that a very colourful slide would be more appealing to an audience. For example, in this slide we have 6 different colours plus a white background, so there are 7 colours in total. But actually, instead of it being very appealing, I think it's very distracting and quite confusing. In this slide there are only three colours, are blue and purple for the blocks of information, and the third colour is white for the text and the background. It's very important to have a clear contrast between the text and the background to make the words easy to read. I hope you noticed that this slide is easier to process than the previous one because it's simple, it has fewer colours, and also there is less text on it. All of that makes it easier for the audience to understand. Our last topic is about fonts. I did say that you could try and use visual images as much as possible, but of course sometimes you will need to use text. One of the most important decisions is to choose fonts that look good. There are many to choose from, so it's not an easy task to decide the best. Here we have four popular fonts that we often use: Garamond, Rockwell, Futura and Helvetica. All of them are very easy to read and I would recommend them to you. One distinction between fonts are those that have little feet or those that don't. The feet are the little curly bits and they are called serif. So in our examples, Garamond and Rockwell have serif. But Helvetica and Futura don't have little feet, they are called sans serif. Serif fonts help a reader to process a lot of text, so they are good for the body. Sans serif are good for standing out. So these fonts are suitable for headings. So in this example, Garamond could go very well with Futura or Helvetica, and Rockwell could go very well with Futura or Helvetica. But Garamond doesn't go well with Rockwell and Futura doesn't go well with Helvetica because they are the same kinds of fonts. Here is a slide with advice on how to stay happy, which is of course very important. It has three tips. The first is to get moderate exercise, in this case maybe some kind of cycling or walking, that kind of thing. The second tip is to value experiences rather than probably possessions or money. And the third tip is to know yourself and recognise your strengths and who you are. So I hope if you didn't know those tips already, they might be useful to you. Now let's analyse the elements that go up to make this slide, and we'll focus on the three things we've covered in the lesson so far. First of all, there are three simple visual images: a cyclist to represent exercise, the earth to represent experience, and then a woman who's standing very strongly to represent strength. The colours of the slide, there are only three: blue, purple and grey on a white background, and the writing can easily be seen on this background. And finally, the fonts. We've got the Helvetica for the heading, and if you remember, Helvetica is very good for standing out and being good for headings. And then the body text is Rockwell, which has the little serifs, the little feet, and is easy to process. So all in all, I think this is a good example of a slide that shows the three main elements that we've tried to show you in this lesson: simple visual images, colours and fonts. There are many aspects to slide design, and we've looked at just three of these. Firstly, visual information communicates a lot more effectively than textual messages. So I'd encourage you to try and use as many visual images, such as photos, illustrations, charts and graphs, as you possibly can. Secondly, I said that making your slides very colourful is actually not a very good idea. Try to limit the number of colours that you use to maybe 2 or 3. It's also important to try to contrast the background of your slides with any textual message that you put on them. Thirdly, I recommended a number of easy to read fonts that you can use when you do have to put text onto your slides. And it's good to try and contrast the larger headings with the smaller body of the text. So finally, whatever kinds of slides you decide to design, please enjoy making them, and if they are effective, they will really support your presentation so that you can get your message across to your audience. Good luck.